So that sucks. Let me know when you guys are back in here again so I can actually say what I was saying when I didn't know that nobody was here to hear me say it. Because you guys all basically let me know that it's Easter Sunday, and it wouldn't shock me if people wanted that day off to be with family. I mean, I'm always with family. Um, and I'm not Christian. So Easter Sunday for me is just a day where I get to have the ability to send my grandkids, Easter packages, Esther, Esther packages with the bunnies and stuff. All right, let's go ahead and tippity tap this. I didn't hit the transition button, did I? There we go. It's now flat. That's good. That looks pretty good to me. I'm just trying to make it central so that, when I'm coming down on the end here, I'm pretty much getting the force all back behind the right piece of metal. And if I really need to, I can grind the rest off. But at this point, it looks pretty good. I'm going to warm it up one more time just so I can more easily take off the scale. I see a place where I want to actually undo an accidental bend I introduced. So I'm going to tuck it into the fire a bit more. Yeah, I'm not making a slitting chisel, it turns out. So that was lost before. Yeah, take 3. I'm having some real connectivity issues out here today. But I realized as I was making my slitting chisel here that it's not a slitting chisel I need. It's a slot punch. So thankfully, before I got to the point where I actually had a chisel on the end, I remembered that. So I think both would do fine, but what I really want is a slot punch. Because I don't currently have one of those. Oh, I do. I just don't have one the size I want to have. Dang it. I thought I had one. Well, now I have 2. This one's way too short. It was made for bottle openers. And now that I've made a few of these, I see it's way too short. So, yep. This one will probably get retired or used for under the treadle hammer once I finally get it done. I'll make a what's it called? A pair of tongs that would fit around that nicely. But you can also see that the size won't be, I won't lose as much material and therefore have a stronger place to, I need, there we go. Now we're in line that way. I'm not really too worried about the striking end. I'm not even sure how much of a difference it makes to have a clean bit of metal punching through something. But I'm happy with that. About the only other thing I would do to this is add the indexing. But I've also done it without the indexing because I've got the flat side with the flat side. So it's, as you can see, let me go. Oh, can't see because I didn't transition, did I? No. So I just gave this a good brushing. So it's done. It is spring steel, so I could go ahead and heat it up and quench it here in a minute. But before I do, you can see the size of my slot punch now is like 3/4, 2/3. Yeah, some 2/3 of what the old one was, which means I won't be taking as much material out, and therefore when I drift, I'll actually still have more material around what I'm going to be drifting, which is important because I'm not going to have a lot of material to begin with, since what I'll be punching through is this, and then I'll widen it out, and so I want as much material as possible around all that. So we can even go this way and see it's even just a little bit smaller that way as well. So, and being longer, I won't have to have my hand so close to the heat. I won't have to, I'll have less likelihood of, once again, hitting my thumb. I had my thumb unmovable for a few days last week. So the only thing I'm not doing is this, and for me, there's two reasons. This is the indexing business that they always like to tell you to make for a bonnet and so forth. But for me, the reasons are simple. I actually have eyes. I can see how I'm indexed. Number one. Number two, the starting material is a much smaller coil spring than this, which was not a coil spring. It was actually another piece of. It was I believe. I'll pull it over here. It was the other side of this, which I turned into my touch mark. And that was a cold chisel, real long cold chisel. So it worked. It did the job I needed it to do. It had more mass than this does. So, nothing wrong with any of that. So I'm going to go ahead and heat this up. I don't know technically what a coil spring out of a 70s, mid-70s Nova is made of, but I'm assuming I could heat this up to non-magnetic, and in doing so, be able to quench it to harden it. I also realized some things about this that's not right. Number one, this is still too thick for the purposes of a scroll. Now, at the time when I was doing this, I was just starting to formulate in my head what I want this to look like. And so now I've got it in my head what I want it to look like. And so I need this to be able to, all this to be able to scroll. And so I'm going to end up thinning it out a lot more to make a more elegant looking scroll. Make them a lot longer than they are. And no, I didn't get out here last week to do any work on it for purposes of static content on my channel or anything like that. So that's what's happening there. File the chin flat. It helps to prevent tearing. Okay, sounds good. I'll do. I can do that. There. I'll just go ahead and get it out of here. We'll hot rasp it flat. because I got an old farrier's rasp here. And she's right, this thing's about done on that side. Let's go ahead and get a real file and just not leave it on the middle long. All right. That's good. File doesn't feel like it got hot at all. Go ahead and pull this out of here, back into the forge. Now, about that non-magnetic part. That's just enough magnetism to do the trick. Still plenty magnetic. Okay, good. Proof that that actually is there. $1085 or $5160 are equivalent if they're original. They were original. That's why he gave them to me. He put in better, racing, etc. coils. Robert, welcome to the third iteration of this live stream. Hopefully we stick around longer this time. The eject button. It's been a difficult live stream today because apparently AT&T doesn't like me today. Oh, pretty birds out there. I hope I'm coming through loud enough for you guys and that noise canceling isn't doing too bad, or that I'm not being too loud. I think my son told me I was being too loud. Too loud? Yeah. All right. Where'd my magnet go? I just had it a minute ago. There it is. Definitely non-magnetic now. We're going to go ahead and quench it. Except for the part I'm holding, because I'll use that for doing the temper. It is now quenched. Where is my nice little piece of sandpaper? There it is. I'm glad I had nice clean metal to begin with. That worked out great. If I have to, I'll stick the back end back into the fire. And let's see if we can watch this temper or not. or if I'm going to be really impatient. For anybody who's watching that isn't a smith, that always wonders, you know, do the skills of a bladesmith ever apply anywhere else? This is a perfect example of yes, it does. Everything I just did is what a bladesmith does. Big dummy, what'd you do with it? Ah, there it is. I'm holding it in the air on purpose. I see a lot of temper color up in here, but I don't see it traversing down all that much. I think I'm going to go ahead and set the back end back in the fire. Stand here and watch it. Ah, that's right. You were. You're looking at me, not the anvil. I'm cute and all, but watching me watch the steel. That was great. I'll get used to this whole new way of looking at what I'm going to see next. All right, there we go. Now I can see temper colors. You can see purples and blues and stuff like that. The straw here. Now I don't know if you can see them there. Let's see if we can zoom in a little. Figure out where I'm pointing my camera. Maybe even get a better light source. Plenty of light. Plenty of light. All right, so up in here we're red hot. Might be able to see it without that, but up in here we're not red, not dark red. I mean, really dark red, not bright red. In here you can see the peacock colors. There you can see the straw into the yellow. So it's working. That means all this back in here is no longer hardened. And now I can just let it go. We'll be all tempered back into here, so it'll still be hardened, but it won't be brittle. You can see it slowly traveling down. Can you see it? Yeah, you can. Wait for it. The goal is to get that pretty color all the way down, but that's the hardest part. Is waiting for that to get down there. I've got an idea. It's a dumb idea, but it's an idea. Everybody said don't preheat the anvil. Nobody said anything about preheating the tongs. Now the tongs should be about the same heat as the part I'm holding. I don't know though. We got a lot of the pretty peacock colors up there. One of my favorite things is somebody skilled enough to actually paint with temper colors. We're seeing it down into here now. It really is a waiting game. And that's why the other way to do this is to have yourself a toaster oven and just put it to 400 degrees and put it in there. Walk away. Oh, I didn't know that was normal. I thought I did something unique. Yep, my tongs are mild. I do that on purpose just so I can quench them. I know some folks like to have spring steel, but then you can't quench them off if you're getting them too hot. All right, I can already tell. We can see it here now from my tongs being hot too, that we're getting a temper. We're getting the temper colors all the way down. They're light yellow temper, so I'm just going to sit here and hold it a little bit longer again. I can see it right on the ridge all the way to here now. But yeah, that's the other mechanism. It's the one I keep doing right now, which is just put the back end in, the striking end, back in the fire. You can do that with a coal forge just as much as a gas forge, solid fuel or gas. All you're doing is heating this up. It's basically no longer neither hardened nor tempered. The only downfall of that, but it's going to happen anyway typically, and it's better to have and that is you're going to have more mushrooming because the metal's soft. But you're better to have mushrooming than to have shards flying off. You can grind the mushrooming off. Shards flying off, you don't know where they're going to go. Yeah, I definitely quenched more than necessary, Kevin. Very much definitely quenched more than necessary. Oh, okay, there we go. We're good. You can see that the peacock has now moved down into the what's it called? The taper, and the straw is all the way down to I don't know, 2/3 of the taper, and then yellow down into the tip. So if I want to let that, I can let it just travel for a minute more, and then I'll quench it off completely, and it's done. Now, when I was thinking about the project and what the next steps were, that was before I realized how little material I had available for scrolling, because scrolls require quite a bit of material. So that's when I realized, well, they would have been ugly scrolls anyway, because they're not elegantly, the dimensions of width versus thickness wasn't an elegant ratio. So that's when I realized, and now you can see, especially in the sunlight, you can see the straw is all the way to the tip. Into the quench. Lock it in. So anyway, my next step in my mind was going to be start punching the holes. Then I got out here, I slept on it another day and realized, no, it really is get that ready for a more elegant scroll. All right, that's ready. We'll set that to the side for the now, and then forget that that's where I put it. Let's go ahead and work on, hot. Work on getting these a little longer, a little less lumpy bumpy too. Smooth them out. I think I actually need a bit more length in my forge to work on this, so let's go ahead and turn on the second burner. It's just wide enough to hold 3 railroad spikes. Thank you, Clara. I really appreciate you liking the stream, the third attempt at it. Schlande, I think is how they said it. Happy St. Patty's Day. In this case, it is I don't work around fire with alcohol, so wait a minute, we got to do this right because I didn't do it right. Let's do it again, because I'm a bozo with these cameras. I'm not doing the alcohol this early in the morning, much less while I'm working fire. Anyway, do it proper. Schlande. Oh, and a new subscriber on top of it. You are the best. Adam, you're right. Chamfering the struck end definitely can help. This has already been a struck end, so I'm just going to leave it alone, and then I'll clean up the mushrooming. For those that didn't see this earlier in the stream, I took a curved chisel that I have, curved chisel that I use for, you know, various designs, that I had forged a longer piece of the coil spring into, knowing that I would end up cutting it in two to make another chisel, which, there it is. Now, the fact is, I probably cut it too short. I didn't realize, how little growth I would get. We've all been there, am I right, guys? Watching the watcher, watching the steel as we watch for excitement. Oh, that's funny. It creeps slowly because it has to heat the core of the steel too. It'll speed up a bit when it gets the blade of the punch. Okay, got it. I quenched it in water, Rob. So there's been a huge debate on this recently in all of the places that I pay attention to, that says quenching in oil isn't as vital as some people think. The biggest thing is, how fast do you need it to quench? And I can't remember which way was which, but I do remember that the outcome of the testing was you can always quench in water. You can't. So I'm not going to really be too worried about oil quench for much of the work I do. So that's what that boils down to. All right. Boils down to, get it? All right. I think that'll work. Ah, but you would love to see what I'm doing, I bet. Instead of watching me from the side. So we'll go like that. Yeah, that's going to look a lot nicer. All right, back into the fire. Let's see how much longer it got from that. All right, did good. Get hold of this a better way. There we go. All right. What I'm learning is these tongs aren't going to be the best for trying to do this. So I've got a solution for that too. Like that. Big dummy. Getting there. Let's do this so you guys can see a little bit more of what's going on. No! You big, dumb camera. Let's try that again. Back into the fire. Walking around with a piece of hot metal is probably not the smart thing to do. All right, sorry about that, folks. Let's see if we're still online this time. We are. All right. Thank you, Clara. Let's go ahead and read back some of the stuff that was said in the stream, just in case somehow it doesn't show up. Oil is good for knives because of the thinness of the blades to prevent thermal shock and cracking. Yes, exactly. There's a slower quench in oil, if I remember correctly. And so, therefore, you don't end up with cracking nearly as often. For tools, water is fine as the tool usually has the mass to prevent cracking. For thinner pieces, always use oil, especially when using spring steel. Also, water created a steam jacket due to Leidenfrost effect, which is why you got to constantly move it in the water, by the way, resulting in the smith having to agitate the item, which caused warps in a knife, not so in tools. Ah, makes a lot of sense there. Yeah, I've always seen in the knives, you don't go side to side, around and round. You always go up and down. Yeah, I wanted to get you both the Bic and the anvil face, but it turned out that, sadly, what I was doing wasn't showing because the camera had decided to, I think it was actually the part that converts what the camera, yeah, HDMI to USB, that's it. So I wanted to show you both, so now you get to see, hopefully you're seeing both. All that. So, Clara, are you a smith, or are you someone that just enjoys the art, but that doesn't put your hand at it yet? Now, for those who don't know what I'm making, I'm part of a group that has a blacksmith challenge. If you're a blacksmith and you want to have a reason to get out to your forge, join the blacksmith challenge. And the challenge this month is to make a boot scraper that uses traditional joinery, which means no electric welding. Use some collars, use some rivets, things like that. Which is why I needed to create earlier in the stream the slot punch, because I'm going to be doing some riveting. The collars are going to go, for me, are going to go around the scrolls themselves. And the intent is to scroll this, pull it over where you can see it better, to scroll this end towards the spikes. What the hell is that called? Head? No, I don't know. But anyway, the striking end of the struck end of the spike. Scroll it towards that joinery by having this bend this way. Do the scroll, and then join two of the scrolls together to become feet. And then I have to punch a hole here on all four of them to join them this way. Or, I think this is what I'm going to do, punch a hole this way and join two spikes this way that are also joined at the top. That'll give them stability, and that will then give me a bar. I can join another bar or two going across to the other two. Yep, that's the plan. I knew it all along. Okay, this one I think is about done. Let's go ahead and work on the other two. I see lumpy bumpies I don't like, so I might put them back, pull it back out again. Or put it back in the fire, I should say, and clean it up. Let's untwist it. Tried to twist on me. All right, I think I need to thin it out a little more in here. All right. I want to thin it out just a little bit more in there, so let's get it back in the fire. And then we'll compare them and see if I actually got them equivalent. All right, that's looking pretty good. I don't need them to be exactly the same, but I do need to be pretty close so that when I put holes in them, scroll things up, things end up where they should. I'm pretty happy with that. Let me show you. Looks like we got a glitch with the cam link. Sorry about that, guys. But looks like I did good. They're the same length still. Hopefully that's enough. I mean, it may not be a very big scroll after all. I'm hoping I can make it a decently sized scroll, but this is what happens when you have an idea, but you've never actually executed on that idea before. You learn. I possibly could get a little more length in there. You can see the dimensions here are a little thicker than they are down here. So I might be able to get a little bit more going on there. But I got to be careful not to take too much more out of this because that's where I'm planning on joining the sides to each other. I'm going to set it on its side if it'll let me and compare the two sides. Come on. Nope, they don't like to be on their side. They're pretty close to the same. So in both cases, if I wanted to, I could get just a little bit more towards the taper, but we'll leave it alone for now. We'll come back to that. I'll work this one and then I'll take a break because there's not another piece of metal in the fire. First rule of blacksmithing, all metal is hot, get out of its way. So you saw me jump back. I'm wearing a kilt today because happy St. Patrick's Day. And it's finally warm enough to bother. We're at 50 degrees plus. It'll get up to 70 today, so I won't stay in a kilt because I'm going on the motorcycle today. Pulled it out yesterday from storage. Gave it a long overdue bath it needed. Get those lumpity bumpties out of there. Make it more smooth. Nice, nice. For anybody who's not a smith in the channel, what you're seeing pop off of this is what's called forge scale. Basically instant rust. Rust is just the working of oxygen on steel. And when you heat it up, oxygen likes to bind with whatever it can bind to. It's either going to be the fuel or it's going to be the next hottest thing it can get to because it's in an excited state, and that's my steel. And it's no fun when that stuff pops off and lands on your hand because it's just as hot as the steel, at least for that moment. But just for that moment, you can typically get it off your hand before you cause yourself any real concern. All right, that looks good. Go ahead and pop it off here. Flip it around. My goodness, that's hot. Turn that off. It's noisy too. All right. Let's go ahead. Flip it over. I'm going to bring it over, back over again. You weren't seeing the whole picture at that point. Sorry about that. This is where it would be nice to actually have a cameraman, production person. Yeah, see, this one's definitely much longer. So what did I do different? It looks like, okay, there you go. You can actually see it. I can anyway. No, you can't because the damn thing's done again. What the heck is your problem today? Sorry, folks. It is not a good tech day. What did you do, camera? Did you forget that you were on? That does happen. Yep, it forgot I was on. This camera is a very decent camera, but it wasn't meant to be used for this purpose. So what I'm going to show you and why this is turning out differently, but it'll just mean that one of my scrolls is a little cuter than the other. What did I do with you? Did I throw you back in the bag already? Probably. Yep. Light this up proper. What you can see right there, zoom in, even, pan over, there we go, this is a different type of spike than this one. I didn't pay attention when I was grabbing my spikes to get the same kinds of spikes. So this spike is literally a fatter stock. So there's more meat in there. And you can see on the head of the spike too. I guess it is a head now that I think about it, nail head. The spike head is a different kind of head. Can I turn this in such a way as you can see it better and it doesn't fall off my handle? Maybe. So you can see it. Yeah, you can see it there. This one is a thinner dome, and this one's a fatter dome. This one's wider dome. This one's a thinner dome. So it's just a completely different spike, resulting in the differences in the outcome. So what I've got to take care when I go and get my next spike, which I'll get here in a minute, is to try and find another one like this. And then what I can do is just have, one side of mine just a little longer. It'll have just a little bit bigger scroll, but they have to match up where the joinery is going to happen. And it is going to be the first time I do a band join. I've done rivets. Rivets are rivets, but this will be the first band join I do. And so I'm really tickled with this project. It really, checks off all the boxes of the kind of things I want to be able to do as a blacksmith. And so big kudos to, who was it that actually came up with this one? Thomas isn't in the channel at the moment, but if Alexis still is, then she might remember who it is that came up with this challenge. This boot scraper is almost as good as doing the first grill you ever have to do. So, all right, I'm going to scroll through the chat just so I can enjoy that. Sip on my Guinness Zero before I go hunting for the spike I need to match that one. And interestingly enough, the other two spikes, they have all the same dimensions, but the head has a mark across on one of them, and the other one has two of those marks across. So even they're not identical. This is just a whole batch of spikes that I bought off of eBay when I first started smithing, and I haven't even gone through half of them at this point. Put these over here so they aren't lost and forgotten. All right. Let's see if I can find another one of those kind of spikes. It looks a little bit like it. Let's see. Yep. That's the one. Fatter. Yep, that's the one. Let's go ahead and put that in the fire. We'll turn it back on and get it up to... Ah, Tim O'Connor. Well, I'm glad that that's the one he picked because it's, like I said, it ticks off all the boxes for me. Let's go ahead and transition over. There we go. Hey, people. All the peoples. Steampunk Batman, yeah. If you want to follow the goings-ons and announcements type stuff, I also have a Facebook page you can get to by going to jackpinesblacksmithing.com. It'll take you right to my Facebook page. That's where I'm going to announce that I'm going to shift this by a half an hour in the near future. I don't know which explanation was clear as mud, but there you go. It was probably clear as mud because I didn't have the right things on the my camera wasn't working. Anyway, freedom steel notation as well as European. Nice. Oh, unless you were talking about somebody else's. Adam, you put big chunks in here. I hope it's showing up on YouTube so people can actually read it. But just as a friendly reminder, because I do stream to, I multicast, the chat is always in the corner of my, well, should always be, when everything's working as it should, is always in the corner of the actual video, if you can read it. You're not a smith, you're a tryhard. I don't know about that. You have such a wealth of knowledge. You could be a smith even without picking up a hammer, I think, Adam. Ah, one was Pennsylvania Railroad and the other Georgia Pacific. It's not impossible. Ah. So, I don't know where we were now that I think about it, but I saw this and I immediately had to buy it, and it goes on my spare anvil. Oh my God, the magnets are so strong. Which is great because it will hold my chisels and punches. It'll hold a quench, or, you know, in this case, my Guinness. And if you quench in Guinness, you get the luck of the Irish. You finished your boot scraper already. Ah, okay, got it. That makes sense. I'm still too loud, aren't I? Let me just bump that down. There we go. You guys can still hear me when I'm in the yellow, right? We're good? I put on the noise suppression too because this forge is so loud. To me, it's right behind my head, you know? I actually get the heat from the forge now here. It's a perfect thing to use in the winter. But it is kind of convincing me I need to go ahead and get an electric blower. So let's go ahead and come back to the action end of the anvil. Because we're getting to the point, it's time to start drawing out the, you know what? We're going to do it like I did before. We're not using the Bic. I'm sorry, folks. I think the Bic spreads it too much to the sides. I was just watching it as I was working it. It does work, don't get me wrong, but this kind of ensures I'm mostly moving everything. What's the laterally? Is that the right term? I don't even know now. All right, first we're going to do is, this is a pretty ugly looking spike, so we're going to just smooth it out a bit. And we're going to go ahead and forge the tip back in again. So, because we don't need that at all. Oh yeah, use your body. There we go. There we go. Forged in. Now everything else needs to come to that thickness. Back into the fire. But yeah, you can see rust ate this one a little bit. That's perfectly fine. We got plenty of material here. There's reasons why these must have been retired and put up on eBay. Ah, yeah, I was wondering if it would kill the hammers. Let me go ahead and do this. There are two different versions of this filter. There's that version of the filter. Wow, that takes my voice down quite a lot though. That version of the filter, 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 that version of the filter. All right, we'll go with that. But here's the real question. All right, it's not spiking into the red. We're good. Thank you, Cora. Yeah, I don't think that I have a good way to make the forge sound go away. That's why I switched it over to the other version, Jeff. What you guys got to let me know is if you're hearing me over that. If you are, then we'll live with it. Oh, very nice. I have a shepherd's hook project myself, but I don't know. I probably made it way bigger than it needs to be. And I haven't convinced myself that that isn't still the project I want to do with it. So, nope. On the ground, enjoy your drink. Let's flip it over the other way. The tong will hold it better anyway. There we go. Come on, get in there. Oh, interesting. The head of this is shaped in such a way as to make the tongs less wanting to hold on to it. Back into the fire. Working against my own best interest at that point. Yep, that's what I'm probably going to do. I shaped them last time, I'll shape them again. The bird snuck this, yeah, are you kidding? if the birds weren't there to do it, the squirrels would still get up there and eat your bird seed. Yeah, exactly, Jurgen. Drop forged. Yeah, the biggest problem I'm having, Clara, is I don't have a torch. So let me switch over to the other. Oh, it still was on the other. Big dummy. Here's the one I have from Rebar. And you can see I've got courtesy bends in here. I'll switch it around. But what ended up happening is, you know, I forged smooth so it doesn't look like rebar anymore. It now looks more like wood. But I got to a point with this one where I was putting a courtesy bend in and ran out of heat before I got it done. So now it's a discourteous bend. So I'm starting to think I need to just start with a much shorter piece of rebar. I was doing it with that because I wanted to do a bit of forge welding for the feet as well, or at least bending. All right, back to this. I don't know. Now I'm starting to think it doesn't really matter. It's still going to go spreading wide as I go over this. Look at how much meat I've got in this part of the, because a good chunk of this was rusted away. This one may be a waste. We'll see. Back into the fire. All right. What's the IBP? That's exactly what I've done, Adam. I'm just thinking through which processes are the most efficient so that I can do the least amount of work, or the most amount of work with the least amount of effort. That's the right word. You're absolutely right, except the cross that I need to use is a hammer that I bought when I was first getting started, and it's this peen. This Fisker is great, but it's also heavy. So we'll try it. We will try it. We will try it even. We'll do it this way. We'll go over here. We'll try it there. That's working great. And then we'll flip it over and smooth it. while still spreading it a little. This hammer gives me a workout. All right. Time to turn on the other valve. Come on, back up there. I don't need any of that on here. I'm going to burn it off right now. There we go. Oh, thank you for the reminder of the camera change. I'm an idiot. I just cannot seem to be with it for the camera stuff today. Yes, I have a steel anvil. So there was a handful of folks that really got me started in this craft. I have to thank a friend of mine from South Florida who let me to get hands-on with the craft at first. And then from there, I was watching Alec, I was watching Daniel, trust me, I'm a blacksmith. I was watching Adam with his J-Bod. I was watching Yamez, Black Bear Forge. I'm still, actually, while I was laid off, I stopped, but I'll be putting it back on again. I'm sending him Patreon money. So I ended up wanting a new anvil, because the one I had, little 75-pounder, still sits over here at Trenton. Every time I hit the anvil, my camera bounced, which I did a lot of research on, what am I supposed to do about the reverb that's happening in the ground? And the answer was, get something heavier that doesn't bounce when you hit it. So he came out, the biggest problem with buying an anvil is you either have to be good about saving, which most of my savings goes towards gifts to other people, or, yes, you did, Adam. Because I almost made a box of dirt. That Trenton Ty did one then, and then I had to say, no, I can't do anything Trenton Ty says to do. Let's see. The thing is, you were able to buy a steel anvil, which meant I could support Alex and his channel. I didn't realize that, he wasn't this small little startup thing anymore. But anyway, I could support Alec, and also buy an anvil basically on layaway. So that's what I did. It's 140 pounds, which means it could be heavier, but it's heavy enough for me. For any aspiring smiths coming to my channel, one of the first things I had to learn as a new smith was how to stop having tennis elbow from being a smith. It was a surprisingly simple change. Maybe I need to do a, what is that called? Those the shorts on YouTube. I need to do a YouTube short on this. The surprising simple change that dramatically improved my blacksmithing. What is it called? My blacksmithing experience. But it really was a simple change that dramatically changed my blacksmithing experience. And that was to switch to using a pinch grip when swinging a hammer. I have not participated in YouTube Shorts, at least not that I'm aware of. Maybe I did clip one short out of a video. I don't remember now. but I'm not a real fan of the YouTube's shorts. I like TikTok's way of doing it. They seem to have a good algorithm for showing people the things they're truly interested in. So, but who knows what's going to happen to them soon. All right. This is a Fisker Crosspeen. I think they listed it as a mini sledge or something. And it's like 3.5 pounds. I mean, I'm getting a workout in my forearm swinging this thing. But it'll move material, and you know it's properly dressed. And it has this nice little swell right here. It's got a half-inch length of hammer handle. So some people will hate it, some people will love it. But I've enjoyed it. It's just heavy. You'll get really tired if that's your primary hammer, unless you're a lot stronger than I am. Oh, so first there's the grip of death. In case, let me see, slide to the left. The grip of death, right? And that really does hit this muscle. This muscle way up in here, and you get that whole tennis elbow thing going on. Then there was I need to put some effort behind it, so I'm going to go ahead and lay my thumb on it, and every now and then I'll accidentally find myself doing that. But that still has your fingers curled underneath it. And then that's when I saw Hoffy do his thing, and that's where I learned, let the thing just rest in these 3 fingers, don't grab it, and let it be a pivot. Boop, boop, you know? So I should do a short on that. Yeah, I agree. Walk around the quad state and just asking people, how'd you get started? What inspired you? Who inspires you? That would be a great, topic to take to get folks to weigh in on. Clara, do you go to quad state? I was just doing it there. For some reason, the thumb wanted to go to the top. It happens when I get tired, I think. All right, back into the fire. I appreciate you finding me here, Clara. In the past, what I worked on, let's bring you around to that, is this forge over in the corner, which is a hand crank forge, solid fuel forge. It's a Whitlock's forge, which is a great little forge. This dial tweeter is really cool. I guess somebody had mentioned that this tweeter without the dial part is just referred to as a California tweeter. Thanks, Adam. Which, yes, we're just going to blow out the ash that way. But with this dial, I don't have to have all the holes in my tweeter opened up at a time. So I've got, I can sit here and do just a few holes and have the first third of my forge hot, and the back forge loaded up with extra coal to pull in. It's actually a charcoal forge. They call it a wood forge because literally you stack the wood up along the V and it'll char it up for you, which is awesome. All right. I'm hoping to go to Quad State for the first time this year. I'm here in Washington State. So going to Quad State isn't going to be an easy trip. I won't be able to go home with any cool goodies that I don't have to ship bulk somehow. But I do plan on showing up with a hammer and tongs, maybe multiple. We'll see if it gets me stopped by TSA to have those on my check-in. We're getting there. Go ahead and grab its brethren, and we'll just go ahead and mark how far drawn out was. There we go. In case you guys were curious about what I just did, all I did is take the one I've already drawn out, put it on here, the head at the edge here by bumping it with the hammer very lightly. That's how long it is, that's how wide it is. It ain't rocket science, but there is plenty to think about. This little Vivor forge is doing me great. Do I have a donation portal of any kind? I do not, Robert. Flat rate boxes are a good idea at Quad State to ship stuff home. That's a great idea. I also have a small business license and some sort of discount my wife knows about for USPS. So, never have, but it would be fun. Ah, yeah. Did you? I have to go back and check the videos. I probably watched it and liked it if I was liking things back then. But it's been a long time since you've put any content on your channel, and so I've kind of forgotten the kind of cool stuff you might have had in there a while back. Yeah, Clara, that's my favorite part of this live stream, is that the community has embraced me and comes and participates, chats it up real good in my channel. I am a community-oriented kind of person, so then I'm really sorry about the flicker. I really don't know what I can do about it. I think it's the cam link I'm going to have to replace, but what I'll do is I've got another cam link. I'll just swap it in. As a matter of fact, let me just do that real quick and see if it makes a difference. Hold on. We'll switch to one of these other views. Hold on. Just chatting. We'll go to that one. Let me see if I can find that other cam link. see if it's the cam link or maybe the camera itself that not wanting to communicate cleanly. Well, I would bring out the cam link, except don't know where it is. Oh, there it is. Cam link found. Nobody was looking up my kilt, were they? All right, let's try this again. Put that. And put that. Oh, look at that. It's the 5-minute warning. I'll have to change that soon. Clark, just so you know, 5-minute warning indicates that it's almost time for me to wrap up and help my wife with duties, things, and stuff. So, let's go ahead and go to Sources, go to Canon, do Properties, there it is. All this cool stuff I can do, I didn't know I could do until my son told me about it. He likes to do game streaming. All right, we are to the point now where I can put my little, so what goes on with this camera from time to time, like I said, it's not meant to be a webcam. So there's a little hack that somebody posted on YouTube, gotta love YouTube and the internet for this stuff, right? That said, you could still use it as a webcam, but you have to hold the shutter button the whole time. And I'm like, well, how the heck are you supposed to do that? And he gave that answer too, which is you use a hair bungee and one of those silicone straw things you can get for those metal straws so they don't hurt your teeth. And ta-da, it looks like a finger is holding the shutter the whole time. So let's see if that works better, and if it does, that means I'm going to have to see about a warranty claim on that. In the meantime, tongs, tong, 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 tong. Everybody sing the tong song. This is a family-friendly channel, but I treat the family-friendly part like Bugs Bunny did. All right, we're just about there. I'm going to do a little bit more thinning, but I think most of that's going to be done on the face of the anvil. Yes, 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 yes. I know, I'm excited about it, Adam. You got to get out of that whole monsoon business. Or is it not monsoon? I don't know. But you've convinced me I don't want to live in Australia. You got overly wet parts, you got overly dry parts, you got overly spidery parts. I'm done. If you could tell me where the part that looks like the Pacific Northwest is, I might think about living in Australia. You know, where I think that 56 degrees is really comfortable. 70 degrees is nice. 80 degrees is really pushing it. All right. This part doesn't really need me having this heavy hammer involved, but it is working. As long as I hit it the right way, don't twist things while I'm at it. That looks pretty good. Pretty good. Come on. There we go. All right, let's see if we actually did it. And look at that. We actually got just a little longer than we needed to. Whew. That's okay. They don't need to be exact except for the points where I join them. So, let's just lay it out here, shall we? Bloop, bloop. No, other way. Beautiful. That is the forging out done of these 4 bars, 4 spikes. We'll just go like this. We'll get a glamour shot for the Instagram. But you all get to see it first. There we go. Yeah. The 2 longer ones, the 2 shorter ones. It'll all work out nice though. Put back this heavy hammer. I got that workout today. Go ahead and quench off the tongs. Those aren't going to move any further today. They'll stay right there. And I'll come over and just chit chat for a second. And Clara, since you're new here, I'll give you the same spiel I gave some other new folks last week, which is to say, I always end my live streams with a challenge. It doesn't sound like a challenge. All I say is love and light. But it's a challenge. It's not just some nicety. And the challenge, let me switch over, transition. The challenge is there's already way too much, some would say enough, hate out there. So be the person that's putting love out there instead. And then, you know, be that light in the world rather than just another source of darkness. So that's that. I mean, it's really simple. And that's all I'm putting out there is that simple challenge. So really appreciate you guys hanging with me here today. I'm going to scroll for a minute. Because some fun stuff got put in here. Pacific North. Oh, I get to go to Tasmania. See, I would love that. The forge-eating ants. Okay. Right? No, I don't know, Robert. I find this place pretty close to perfect. I mean, there are still humans living here. I mean, sorry, that goes against what I was just saying, doesn't it? The wildlife keeps it that way. Those drop pandas, you got to watch out. You like the spiders eating the bugs you don't like. You know, I don't mind spiders. Honestly, I don't. I'm the one that catches the spider in the house and gets it out. I don't squish spiders. Um, it's just the biggest problem with spiders for me is, unlike snakes, which I'm pretty good about identifying which snake is poisonous based on certain characteristics of the snake's head shape and so forth. And those that have that head shape to put us off, that's fine. I'll leave them alone too. But snakes and spiders have a kind place in my heart too. I will relocate them rather than killing them. I'm pretty much that way with about any animal. About the only animal I'm struggling with right now is coyotes, and even them. Hey, Loto. Even coyotes. They're beautiful animals, and I just, the biggest problem is I don't want them eating my chickens, and I have done things around my property to prevent that without me having to kill them. But if somebody kills a coyote to safeguard their livestock, I understand. And I have livestock. People know that, and okay, who's Loto? And message me on my phone instead of in here, please. Yeah, so thank you, everybody. I really appreciate you. And once again, love and light. And psst, happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody.